Absolute power corrupts absolutely, except for one Roman. Every leader faces a choice: consolidate power or relinquish it. History is littered with those who chose the former and very few who dared the latter. But there's a story from ancient Rome, a tale almost too perfect to be true, of a man who embodied an ideal that seems lost in our modern world. His name was Lucius Quinctius Cincinnatus. Not a king, not an emperor, but a simple farmer. And yet, his actions during a time of extreme crisis for the Roman Republic would set a benchmark for civic virtue, duty, and humility that resonated for centuries. The year was 458 BC. Rome was besieged by the Equi, an enemy tribe that had trapped a Roman consular army in a narrow valley. Panic gripped the city. The Senate, desperate, knew they needed a dictator, a temporary, absolute ruler to save the Republic. But not just any dictator. They needed someone incorruptible, someone who would lead with unwavering focus and then, crucially, step aside. Their choice was Cincinnatus, a man known for his austere life and unwavering integrity, despite having faced political setbacks and personal hardship. When the Senate's envoys found him, Cincinnatus wasn't in some grand villa or political forum. He was quite literally plowing his small farm, his hands calloused, his tunic stained with earth. A stark contrast to the power he was about to be given. The envoys explained the dire situation, the trapped army, the Republic on the brink. Cincinnatus, without hesitation, left his plow mid-furrow. He donned his toga, a symbol of his citizenship, and accepted the immense burden of command. His first act was decisive. He marshaled every able-bodied man in Rome, ordering them to gather at the Campus Martius by sunset, carrying 12 stakes each. This detail, the specific number of stakes, speaks volumes about his practical, immediate approach. Under the cover of night, he marched his newly formed army, arriving behind the Equi lines. They dug a trench and built a palisade with those stakes, effectively encircling the enemy who were themselves besieging the Roman army. By dawn, the trapped Roman legions awoke to find their besiegers now besieged. The Equi, caught between two Roman forces, surrendered. The battle was won, the Republic saved, all within a single day of Cincinnatus taking command. This swift victory cemented Cincinnatus's reputation as a military genius. But it's what he did next that truly defines his legacy, and offers a profound lesson for us today about the nature of power and true leadership. With the crisis averted, the enemy subdued, Cincinnatus could have easily held onto his dictatorial power. He had absolute authority, immense popularity, and the military might to enforce his will. No one would have questioned it. But Cincinnatus did the unthinkable. Just 16 days after being granted absolute power, he resigned his dictatorship. He didn't wait for the customary 6 months. He didn't seek further accolades or political office. He simply returned to his farm. He picked up his plow, resuming the simple life he had left behind. The Republic, saved by his hand, was now free to govern itself, unburdened by a lingering strongman. This act of self-effacement, this profound respect for the institutions of the Republic over personal ambition, became the defining characteristic of Cincinnatus. It was a stark contrast to the power struggles and civil wars that would later plague Rome. His story wasn't just a historical footnote. It became a powerful ideal, a moral compass for leaders for millennia. George Washington, the first president of the United States, was deeply inspired by Cincinnatus. After leading the Continental Army to victory in the American Revolution, Washington famously resigned his commission and returned to his farm at Mount Vernon. A move that shocked Europe, where victorious generals typically seized power. He was called the American Cincinnatus. His actions solidified the principle of civilian control over the military, a cornerstone of democratic governance. The Society of the Cincinnati, a hereditary organization, was even founded by officers of the Continental Army. So what can Cincinnatus teach us here today, in a world often dominated by ambition and the relentless pursuit of power? It's about duty, simplicity, and the profound strength found in relinquishing control. Duty not as blind obedience, but as a commitment to something larger than oneself. Cincinnatus answered the call not for glory, but because Rome needed him. He understood that true service often means sacrifice of personal comfort. Simplicity not as poverty, but as a liberation from the endless wants that drive much of modern striving. His farm was enough. His purpose was clear, unclouded by the distractions of wealth or status. This allowed him clarity when others were mired in complexity and relinquishing absolute power. This is perhaps the most difficult lesson. It's not just about political power, but about the power we accumulate in our own lives. Over projects, over teams, over our ideas of how things should be? Can we step back when our work is done? Can we trust others to carry the torch? Can we find peace in a quiet life after achieving something great? Cincinnatus did, and in doing so, he showed us that true strength lies not in clinging to power, but in knowing when to let it go. His story reminds us that the greatest leaders aren't always those who build empires, but those who are content to simply cultivate their own small patch of earth, ensuring the health of the whole. Consider how you might relinquish a small piece of control in your own life this week, and share your thoughts below.